Have you just opened a trucking business and wondering what permits you need to have? Or confused about permits and fuel taxes when crossing states? What happens if you decide not to comply? What will you be risking in that case? Hi, it's Sailor from Truck and Dispatcher Training Company. In today's video, we're going to cover 7 permits that new trucking business owners need to be aware of. These permits are going to fall under one of two categories, either fuel or highway use. Let's talk about the weight requirements for these permits so you can check your box truck or your high shot setup weight and see if those operations fall in line with these permits. The first permit we're going to talk about is International Fuel Tax Agreement, or IFTA. IFTA permit is going to be required if your truck is over 26,000 pounds and you engage in interstate commerce, meaning you cross state lines. You may wonder, do I have to pay taxes on fuel that I've already paid taxes on? Let's try to explain that. Every state has its own fuel tax rate, and so let's use neighboring states, Indiana and Illinois, as an example to explain how it works. Let's say Indiana has a lower fuel tax rate than Illinois. When you go to the pump and you fill up in Indiana, you're going to pay taxes at the pump at the Indiana tax rate. Let's say you do all of your driving in Illinois where they have a higher tax rate. Illinois is actually missing out on the fuel taxes because you bought the fuel in Indiana. In order to allocate the fuel taxes from Indiana to Illinois, we file a quarterly tax return. And when we do that, if the situation happens like Indiana, Illinois, then we will end up with the tax bill to pay to make up the difference in the fuel tax. Now, if it happens the other way around, where we're paying higher fuel taxes at the pump of the state where we're getting the fuel versus the state that we're actually driving in, then we end up with the fuel tax refund. So the main point here is if you operate interstate commerce and you have a truck that's over 26,000 pounds, then you need to have an IFTA fuel tax license. The second permit you need to be aware of is the Motor Carrier Fuel Tax License, or MCFT. This permit or license is required for trucking companies that operate as interstate companies, meaning they don't leave out of the state they're based in. When it comes to the fuel tax returns for the MCFT, you never end up with a bill or a refund because the state that you're operating in is where you're purchasing your fuel, is the same place where you're running all of your miles. So you're paying the fuel taxes at the pump that's being allocated to the right state. The next 5 permits fall under the category of highway use tax. So in a nutshell, there's 5 states that actually charge us for driving the highways in their state. The third permit we're going to talk about is the Kentucky KAU. The state of Kentucky requires us to have this permit if we operate vehicles that are over 60,000 pounds. Every quarter, we're required to report how many miles we drove through the state of Kentucky. For every mile we drive through the state of Kentucky, we have to pay 2.8 cents per mile. The fourth permit comes from the state of New York, where if you operate a vehicle that's over 18,000 pounds, we have to pay about 5 cents a mile for every mile that we drive through New York. For New York, we have to calculate these miles and pay these taxes every quarter. The fifth permit comes from the state of New Mexico. We're required to pay 4 cents per mile for every mile that we drive through the state in a vehicle that weighs more than 26,000 pounds. The sixth permit comes from the state of Oregon, which has the highest tax rate. We actually have to pay 21.5 for every mile that we travel through the state of Oregon. The seventh permit comes from the state of Connecticut. This is an interesting one because the bill has been passed into law, but it's not effective until January 2023. So as of today, if you don't have to pay taxes to travel through Connecticut, but starting on January 1st of 2023, we'll be required to pay about 10 cents a mile per every mile that we drive through the state. Now, you may think it's a lot of taxes and you're probably considering not complying, but we want to warn you against that because in the event that you get pulled over or you go through an inspection in one of these states and your permit has been deactivated for non-payment, then you could be shut down and you'll face like penalties and fines, etc. And the KU permit in Kentucky, for example, has the activation fee of $500. So choosing not to comply may put you in a position where it will cost you even more money than if you just complied and paid the taxes along the way. I understand as over the road trucking companies, we're paying a lot in taxes based on the miles that we drive in. So one way to offset these costs is by using high quality synthetic oil, which is going to help us maximize our fuel efficiency and protect our engines as we drive through all these different states. There's not much we could do about these trucking taxes, but we can control our overall expenses through maintenance using synthetic products like these. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comment section below if there's anything you want to add and or ask. Thanks for watching. See you soon.